the economical situation, but also the real strength of our products and our sort of area, healthcare, etc. So we're going to be having these meetings every Wednesday, 7 o'clock. The format is going to products, product training, talking about those products, marketing, sharing of ideas. People are doing well in something, asking them to speak and share how they're doing, and also bringing some business element in as well. About 45 minutes max every Wednesday at 7 o'clock. So I wanted to mention the kickoff. That's a week on Saturday. This is if you've never been to our kickoffs, it's to start the year. So everybody gets together in one place, and it's the Radisson Red Hotel, a week on Saturday. I think it starts at 11 o'clock. And it'd be great if you can make it. I'm sure you'll have a great time, lots of different presentations. So it'll be good for your business, but also good to network with others. Now, every month this year, we're going to have a product of the month. And it'll have some form of, I'm not sure if all of them will have a special offer, but there'll be something associated with it to make it special. So this month, you'll have probably seen on the blog already, it's the Purify program. So everyone, no matter how you buy the kit, whether it's a retail customer or a team member on activation, you get 10% off whatever you would be normally paying for that Purify kit. I want to give you some examples. As well as the 10% off for January, also the Mentor Marathon promotion is extended from the 1st of January right through to the end of March. And that includes that anyone signing up as a new team member won't have to pay the activation fee nor the shipping. Okay, and that's a real difference for people. So I want to highlight it. So the Purify activation pack normally is $196.72, including the business fee and the shipping. It's now this month, because we've got the mentor promotion and the January product promotion, someone now can, until the end of January, activate with a Purify pack for £133.55. So that's fantastic. Now, the other activation packs, after January the 31st, the activation pack for Purify will be £154.34, and after March, obviously back to £196. That's anyone who opens a team member account, that's all they'll have to pay, which is absolutely amazing. These are the other activation packs, the E9, which is a pack of 6 E9. The activation pack is £154.34, and all of them are around about the 1.5 mark, just so that you know. The V3, the Pro-Argy 4 pack, the Energy pack, if you want to know what that is, it's 2 Pro-Argy, 2 E9, and Body Prime. And the collagen pack, that's 1 each of the collagens, 2 Pro-Argy and 2 vitamin D. So it's a fantastic way. And I think if we start thinking about who can we introduce to the business and start telling them there's this fantastic offer to join the business right now. And I've actually started calling the activation pack when I'm talking to a practitioner or a therapist, I'm talking about it being a practitioner offer to open an account, a practitioner's offer. So, you know, however you want to sort of say it, let's just get this message out, because it's fantastic, isn't it? And I'm sure you'll all have people who were interested in the Purify program and even interested in looking at synergy. So perhaps go back to them with the offer that we've got. Also, continuing with the Mentor Marathon promotion, on top of not having to pay the business fee nor the shipping until the end of March, there's also a competition going on where we can all earn prizes, cash bonuses. I still don't know what the gadgets are, Max. So if anyone knows what a gadget is, if you've got one from the program that was over the last few months, will you let me know, please? But earning up to €1,200 for doing the following. So from the 1st of January until the end of March, if you sign up 5 personally sponsored team members, and it can be 5 new team members on Purify activation pack, or they can choose any of the activation packs that I mentioned before, then you'll get £171 at the end of March for introducing 5 team members. And 10 is £427, and 20, and I know it's a lot, but you know, £1,026 is a lot as well, isn't it? So I'm hoping I'm going to give you some ideas tonight on who to approach. So it's my job this evening then. I'm going to talk about one of my favourite products. And I like talking about Flex, especially when my knee's hurting, which it is and has been doing for a while. And it's a product that I've noticed a difference since I haven't been taking it, and I'm back on it again. There's my Flex packet there, my box. And I want to tell you why I think it's one of our best products and one of the easiest ones to get people on and to recruit with. And so let me just give you some stats. And of course, anyone who wants this presentation, just get in touch, or I'll probably put it on in the WhatsApp group. So 10 million people in the UK already have been diagnosed with arthritis. So there's a lot of people out there with arthritic joints. So much so that 65% of them really have difficulty even making a cup of tea. So it's not just having arthritis, it's really just, you know, can't be very nice for people if they are struggling, you know, with the pain that they can't even make themselves a cup of tea. In the US, it's the second most popular supplement after omega-3. And almost 31 million days are lost in Europe due to musculoskeletal problems. And the Work Foundation said that the cost to the EU economy was over £200 billion a year for people who can't go to work or can't do the job because they have joint issues or issues with their muscular system. A third of over 50s in the UK suffer from joint pain. A third. How many millions is that? So the ultimate joint support from a supplement point of view is glucosamine hydrochloride, and I'll explain why that's better than glucosamine sulfate, chondroitin, and MSM, methyl sulfonylurea, but you don't need to remember that. MSM, it's a sulfur, which I'll explain about in a second. So how does these ingredients work? Well, first of all, glucosamine. And I've highlighted some of the main things to remember, the words to remember. You don't have to have a big lecture when you're talking to someone about these products or about the ingredients. The main thing about glucosamine is that it helps the integrity and also the mobility of the joints. And that's so important. If anyone has any joint problems or you've had joint issues, you know that you want, like my knee, when it's bad, it feels like it needs to be oiled. It's really stiff. So anything that lubricates joints. And also glucosamine is really essential for rebuilding cartilage. And we know that it's this breaking down, wearing and tearing of cartilage that then has this bone on bone effect on your knees, for example, hips. And it's very uncomfortable, very painful, and you know, doesn't get any better unless you actually are doing something like rebuilding cartilage with using things like Flex, which I'm talking about now. Now, both glucosamine and chondroitin, which I'll go on to, are the very important components involved in the production of hyaluronic acid. We know that hyaluronic acid is really good for drawing fluid into the joint, and it's very, very important for good joint health, not just when you've got an issue, but to maintain good joint health. We need lots of hyaluronic acid, and glucosamine and chondroitin are the most important components of making sure that that's what's happening in our joints. So chondroitin then. This is the major constituent of cartilage and other connective tissue. And again, it helps the flexibility of joints. And that's so important. If you talk to people who have joint problems, they'll say, you know, this unflexible feeling of not being able to have fluidity in the joint. And chondroitin is essential. You don't just have chondroitin on its own, because it works in combination with glucosamine. So you want a formulation that's got the two together. And what's very important is that it draws water and nutrients into the joint, but even more important really is that it prevents further breakdown of cartilage. So I've often in the past had someone who's been on Flex and it's really helped the joint, and then they've come off it. Now, if they really wanted to not have joint problems forever and ever, they should be on a maintenance dose of these ingredients, because it helps prevent further breakdown. As we age, as we do excessive exercise, we're wearing and tearing our joints. And therefore, this kind of supplement, which is not expensive in my view, is excellent as a preventative as well as more of a medicinal purpose as well. Now, the third main ingredient is MSM. Now, MSM is actually naturally found in lots of foods and plants, vegetables. For example, it's quite abundant in things like broccoli, but also in eggs and meat as well. And it has a really essential role for all kinds of things, but it creates energy. And so it's very important for every single cell in the body. And what it does to every cell, it creates and helps fluidity and permeability. It helps things go in and out of every cell of our body. And that obviously it helps with nutrients going in and out, energy production, balancing pH. You know, far too many people are acidic. And when you are acidic, that's when you start developing more joint issues, arthritis, etc. So tissue repair, etc., needs this flexibility, and this is where MSM comes in. But more important, the best thing to remember about MSM is that it is hugely important as an anti-inflammatory, which, let's face it, when your joints are inflamed, that's when you have pain and issues. So MSM is in there as an anti-inflammatory ingredient. So Flex then has 500 milligrams of glucosamine hydrochloride, 300 milligrams of chondroitin sulfate, and 125 milligrams of MSM. Also has plant extracts and vitamin C, and we know how vitamin C is really important in collagen production, and therefore it has to be in a product like this as well. The plant extracts are all antioxidant. They have antioxidant properties, and we know that antioxidants help with inflammatory issues, but also help prevent free radical damage, which breaks down tissues and joints, etc. So a really superb formulation. And what I love about it is the taste. It's just fantastic. It's like a treat, and so easy to take with it being in a sachet. Now, cartilage requires rebuilding because it's constantly being abused. It's constantly being damaged. And this is normal as we go about life. But we need to rebuild it, and therefore taking a supplement, even in a small amount, will help this rebuilding of cartilage, as long as you've still got some cartilage there. Louise wants to be let in, please, Angie. Thank you. We know that arthritis is a condition which affects millions of people. And usually people with arthritis have swelling and pain, as well as, the cartilage being broken down, a degeneration of cartilage in the joint. And the cartilage can degenerate to a point that the bone ends up rubbing bone against bone, which is really, really uncomfortable and sometimes very painful. But if we nourish cartilage by giving it the building blocks it needs, it can return back to its normal state, as long as there's still some cartilage there. Now, the normal sort of path, if someone goes along to their GP and says, he says, oh, you've got arthritis. After a certain age, it's my experience that, they say, oh, you've got arthritis. And normally they would give us what's called non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, NSAIDs, so things like ibuprofen, for example. Just wanted to mention this because they're obviously used to reduce pain, but they do not address the cause. They don't do anything for your net positive, for your collagen or your cartilage or anything. And in actual fact, anti-inflammatories do have a history of side effects. for anything from a gastrointestinal irritation to stomach bleeding, ulcers, even kidney and liver failure at its worst. And in fact, this is a good slide to share, because Claire Fowles is a pharmacist that I know some of you on the call know, and he wrote a book about drugs and nutrient depletion, which then causes certain issues. But if you have a look at just some of the common side effects of non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, then some of them are pretty serious, you know, and so not something that you'd want to be taking if you have blood pressure issues or heart-related issues, or even things like indigestion or impotence, for example, you know, pretty drastic. There's lots of research out there that's been done with regards to glucosamine, chondroitin, MSM. These are just a few of them, showing that this particular study, for example, was with glucosamine with joint damage, and it was at the University of Liège in Belgium, found that patients with the condition who took glucosamine every day for 3 years reported significantly less pain, less restriction of movement, and less lost joint space, which is an indication of the progression of the disease. So basically it was slowing down the progression, which is really good. This is another study showing that patients experience a decrease in pain and an improvement in quality of life with glucosamine. And also the second one was a study using glucosamine and chondroitin that improved combination of improved pain and joint tenderness as well. And this one was with TMJ, which is basically in your jaw. So a lot of dentists are into TMJ and balancing. Poor dental work often causes this. So if you go to a dentist that knows about TMJ, they may be interested even in Flex for some of their patients. For some reason my little thingy isn't working to move on to the next slide. Let me take that out. No? I'll let you move. Right, hopefully you can see that slide okay. I like this slide because a lot of the studies on MSM have been done on thoroughbred racehorses. And you know how sometimes people say, oh, you know, it's all in the head, it's all in the mind. When you take something and your pain goes and your joints improve, you know, it's just because you thought it would. Well, unless you're Mr. Ed, I don't think there are any horses out there that can speak and say, oh yeah, that MSM has really done my joints a lot of good. Obviously, you only give thoroughbred horses the best thing that they can't, you know, have any side effects because they're very valuable. But also they'll give them things that are going to work, because that's what you want, isn't it? Healthy joints when you're a racehorse. Another study with 252 doctors involved in the study and over 1,500 patients found really noticeable benefits with glucosamine supplementation. And actually they found that they did it side by side with anti-inflammatories. And although they found that the pain scores decreased quicker with people taking ibuprofen, after the 4th week, the glucosamine group was better than the ibuprofen group. So it just means it just takes a little bit longer rather than knocking it, you know, straight away like often anti-inflammatories do from a pain point of view. Right, glucosamine hydrochloride is one source of glucosamine and sulfate is another, which is from sodium, by the way. By far the better and more expensive is the glucosamine hydrochloride because of where it's sourced from. And in actual fact, we know that you'd have to have almost 1 3/4 the amount of glucosamine sulfate to be the same, have the same results as the hydrochloride. So of course, Synergy uses glucosamine hydrochloride, and you wouldn't really want to use the poorer option, basically. So what's the dosage then of Everflex? Well, if you have joint issues, you want to be taking 3 servings a day, and that's 2 teaspoons 3 times a day. So one box, and one box has 8 pouches in it, will last someone a month who's on the full dose. If it's someone who just wants to maintain because they've been perhaps on Flex for quite a few months and they want then just a maintenance or more preventative. If they're a sports person and they're wanting to prevent issues, then they would take 2 teaspoons a day. And so a box would last 3 months, okay? So to retail, the full retail price is £64.20 for a customer for a box of Flex. So for some people that'll last a month and some people it'll last 3 months. Now, just from a retail point of view, if you retailed and got 12 customers on 1 box a month, you'd actually earn £331.68. And I wanted to put this on here because at the moment I'm seeing a chiropractor, and I'm actually seeing an acupuncturist because I really enjoy it, as well as she's very good as well. But, you know I'm paying, probably I think it's £50, £60 for an hour of their time. So, if they had 12 customers on Flex, that's about a whole day's of work, looking after patients. It's a really good add-on income for practitioners, therapists, massage therapists, for example. And I think it's really important also when you're talking to this type of person, they want to know about the quality. And of course, that's really important for us because it's one of our very important messages. But this is interesting, isn't it? That they found, the National Institute of Health Studies found that many, many glucosamine products, although they said it was hydrochloride, in actual fact contained the cheaper version, the less effective version, which was the glucosamine sulfate. So, not all companies know what's in their products that they're selling. We know at Synergy that our quality is second to none. We test every raw ingredient that leaves our manufacturing plant. So we know what's in our products. We know exactly what's not in there, pesticides, chemicals, all the things you don't want in there will not be in our products. And exactly what we say is in our products is in there. We guarantee that. Also, joint care is one area where customers care more about quality and will pay for it. So that's really important to know, isn't it? That they want quality when they are using something for their joints. So how many people do you know with joint issues? Would they be interested in Flex if you told them there was a 90-day money-back guarantee? I guarantee they will already have tried something. They'll have already spent money on things that probably didn't work. When you have joint issues or back pain or all kinds of issues, structurally, it's amazing. You go online, you're buying this thing to put on your back, you're buying this thing to sleep with. It can cost a fortune and none of it's long lasting. So, Flex for me is absolutely number one. We have fact sheets. You just go on the blog, you can download a fact sheet on Flex. And this is something I'm definitely going to be promoting between now and the end of March, this practitioner account. Now, I know Synergy don't call it that, but that's what I'm going to call it when I'm talking to practitioners, that there's now a practitioner account they can activate on a fantastic promotion. So I'm going to be reaching out to physios, osteopaths, chiropractors, massage therapists, and of course, anyone who I think would be interested in being a customer or a team member. And I'm going to carry some in my bag as well, because I find that always helps when people see me getting things out of my bag and they ask me what it is. So what about some testimonies? So I just want to come off my screen right now. And I know that there's a couple of people. I don't know if actually Stuart's on, is he? Can anyone see Stuart? Is he on? No, he's not. But you are, Paul. And you're our Superman. I know most people know you and know about the amazing feat that you did, running 5,000 miles in 100 and, was it 100 and how many days? Can't remember now.
214 days, yes.
214 days, ultra marathons most days, only 1 day a week. I know from what you've told me that Flex was an important part of your program, and your mum used to send the products, didn't she, to where you were every week. And unfortunately, I think there were a couple of weeks when you didn't get the products in time. So would you mind sharing particularly anything about Flex that you found really useful in your 5,000 miles plus around the UK mainland?
Yes, absolutely, Terry. And I think it's worth just pointing out, and it's not boastful, but just so you have a better understanding, that within 7 months, running 30 miles a day, 6 days a week, with a 10-kilogram bag on my back, and I think I covered something like an elevation of over 300,000 foot on all sorts of terrain. So my knees took a real battering throughout the whole journey. My whole body did, but especially my knees. And Synergy were very kind to offer me or sponsor me supplements, and one of the things was Flex, and I took Flex. And to be honest, I didn't have major joint issues at all at the very beginning, which is very surprising. I had plenty of muscle problems, but just my joints, my knees were holding up, and my ankles as well, which took a great deal of battering along the way. I did have a period where I couldn't receive my supplements, and I actually got quite ill, but I also got lots of pains in my knees and my hips, and I actually twisted my ankle as well. So you could put that down very heavily, I'd say, to the supplements I wasn't able to take. Since completing my run, I haven't been taking Flex, but after listening to Terry and hearing all the benefits, it's just jogged my memory. So I'm definitely going to be ordering it again. But I've spoken to multiple different doctors and biologists and people who just know about the body, and they are like in shock the fact that I'm not riddled with arthritis. I don't have major knee problems, and I definitely put it down to Flex and the products that I was taking.
Yeah, fantastic. I mean, it's still mind-blowing what you actually did, Paul, but it's fantastic sharing your story with regards to particularly with Flex. So thanks for doing that.
Welcome.
I was contacted in November by a massage therapist, and she was concerned about her hands. She's been a massage therapist, fantastic reputation for over 20 years, I think. And she was worried that she probably wouldn't be able to do it for very much longer because of the pain in her fingers in particular. And she started on Flex, and it was only probably 3 days before she rang me up. She said, "Terry, this is a miracle." She said, "I don't know if it's just if it'll maintain it, but it's just a miracle." Anyway, that was in November. Since then, she's sold hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pounds worth of Flex because of what it's done for her hands. I mean, she's pain-free, and she was, almost crippled with it. And everyone who goes in there now, and actually the lady who comes to clean for me told me a couple of weeks ago that her partner went in for his normal massage and came out with a box of Flex, and then she's ordered some Flex from me. So it is a fantastic product. And actually, Di, I can see you on there. I know you're a sort of advocate of Flex. I don't know if you want to say a couple of sentences, do you? Oh, I can't hear you. You're muted. Now, for those of you that don't know Di, she's in the athletic world, being a supreme athlete herself. I think she's still got the world record for the heptathlon, and is a really well-known coach as well. So any stories to share, Di?
Just basically the same. I mean, I get a lot of people come to me when they're injured. Like you say, what I need to do more of is try and get people to take it as a preventative measure rather than a curative measure. But I get a lot of people, obviously we're at that age now, in the masters age group, over 35, where they are coming down with injuries now, unfortunately, and they all come, and I get to sell the collagen and the Flex, and it works for everyone. They come back to me and say, like the pole vaulters, hurdlers, runners come and go, honestly, I was pole vaulting again after sort of like 4 weeks, obviously the basics of it, but I definitely recommend the collagen and the Flex to all of the masters athletes with their injuries, and it does work. And like you say, you offer them the 90-day back, and I've not had anyone, not one person, ask for that refund. But yeah, I definitely swear by it, definitely. But it's getting people to educate people to take it as preventative rather than get it, and then they do take it. So it's hard.
Yeah,
so,
well, as a preventative, the box is going to last someone 3 months as a preventative, so it's worth it, isn't it? £20 full retail price. Yeah.
But it's educating people rather than, like exactly what you said, rather than paying £50-60 for that physio, you might have to have them once a week. If they bought that and took that while they're doing their sport, but that's not how the human brain works, unfortunately.
Sometimes it takes them a few goes at doing that, and then they come to, reason, because we know that people who do a lot of sport, particularly excessively exercise in their younger years and in their 30s and 40s, usually end up with arthritis and, really severe joint issues. My brother was a rugby player. He had both his hips replaced in his 40s. Most ex-footballers, professional footballers, can't walk straight, in my opinion. There's a lot of long-term issues for people who, aren't preventing or at least supporting their exercise regime or their sport in particular. So, yeah, great. So let's move on. I just want to introduce you now to our next speaker, who is Stephen Innes. Stephen's going to, oops, Daisy, there you go. Stephen's up in Aberdeen. If you don't know Stephen or haven't met him before, he's got a great synergy business, really growing at the moment. He's got quite a few new people who've joined his business. Now, Stephen is very, very pro a new business app that's been launched by one of the leaders in the States. And he's going to share with you why he's using it and some of the success he's having. So over to you, Stephen. Still
Thanks, Terry. Yep, sorted. Good. Yeah, I'm going to share my screen if that's okay. Terry, am I able to do that?
Yeah, you should be able to.
Yeah, okay. Because I've been using this since November. So you can see that?
No, not yet.
Yeah.
Right, let's try that again. Here we go. Sorted. Should see that now.
Yeah, something's happening.
Yep. Yep, got that?
Yep.
Right, okay. So I got the heads up from this. I'm good pals with Robert Grant, as you all probably know. So because Robert was back in the US, Robert said to me in November, look, there's a new app. And he knew that I was going through some changes with my business because Synergy has been a really good business for me, but there's changes happening in my personal and my other business that I have decided that Synergy is going to be my #1 income. And I thought, right, how do I make that step up and I really move the thing on? Now, I need to work smart. Living up in Aberdeen, we've got water one side of the country, we've got sheep the other side of the country, and I need to go 2 hours before we get any density of population. So I am a little bit out in the sticks. But I was looking at lots in different ways and doing a lot of training with other personal development people, and they all spoke about the one thing: process. You've got to have a process. And to a fault, I've not been duplicatable. I've been very much gung-ho, just speak to people, not scared of getting a no, and just building my business that way. And that's been fine. But for me to take the next step on and really, really grow my Synergy business, I have had to take a step back myself and almost like go back to school and become process driven. And I'll be honest, it has not been easy for me because I've been self-employed since the age of 27, and would you believe I'm 55 now? So I'm not very teachable. And I know you should be going, really? Can't believe he's 55. Vicky Leonard, stop laughing. So for me, I started looking at the app in the tail end of November and got to work with it in December. Now, there's a cost to it. It's £17 a month. There is also a free app. There's a free version of it as well. But for me, I would spend much, much more money on coffees and stuff like that anyway. But the great thing is you get the app, and I'll just run through a couple of little things. You've got a dashboard. I know I speak to loads of people, but the big challenge is you don't know how much information they're taking on board, how much people are looking at the bits and pieces. But with this, you've got a complete trackable system. So I've exposed to 57 contacts. 79% of them have viewed the information. I'm not doing much but email. I'm doing mostly on WhatsApp. And then, but the thing for me, the big thing is that there's a coaching package in here as well. So when somebody joins the business, the challenge is trying to get them through that first bit. Well, the great thing is here, and Dan Higginson's on all the videos, and I know there's going to be other apps coming out, but for me, I'll probably embrace them all because it's making the business much, much easier and much, much more duplicatable for me. But the great thing is they're talking about a 72-14-3 system. But before somebody gets into it, you click on the Synergy University, and there is 70. They talk about 72 hours of doing training and what you should be doing. Now you've got Dan on there, and you cannot cheat the system. I had somebody, and I'm not going to mention their name, but said to me, "Oh yeah, I've looked at all the videos," and I says, "Well, you haven't, because your report that I get is not showing that you've looked at it at all." So when you introduce somebody to it, you're able to go, "Yeah, you've actually watched all the information." So first step, Dan's telling you what to do in the first 72 hours. The training, the Synergy University training, is 81 minutes, and that's all. But it's absolutely fantastic. And then you know what to do with somebody, and then you take them through the next 14 days. Now, I'm going to use an example of somebody who's on the call tonight, and I hope he doesn't mind. Simon Marion. Simon was one of the first people I brought into business. He's been busy setting up his own coaching business, doing really well with that, and hasn't had time for Synergy. When I showed Simon the Rapid Funnel app, he was right back to the table and said, "Right, okay, I can get to work with this now," because it's process driven. And we've been working together we started on Saturday, been speaking every day, and Simon brought in his first new distributor today, working from the app. Now, that is because it is process. Let Dan talk about ProArginine. Let Dan talk about the business, the power of the third.
So just so that people know, you send the video to your contact, do you?
Yeah, I was just going to show what you do with that. So you've got resources. So you add a contact in once you've done the video. And we're going to do a training on this next week, purely on this. But you add a contact in. You've then got them in the system. So I added on some of these people today. Spoke to this guy, Grant, from the media company, Colin McCluckey, added him in. And then I will then send the information out. So you've got resources here. Click on resources, and you can send them your digital card if they're interested in if they've built a network marketing business before, you can send a Network Marketing Pro. If it's just a customer, you just share ProArginine. There is Lamara in there as well. But what I've been focusing on, I've just been focusing on the ProArginine and the V3. You want to share your app, all you do is click on share the app, and then you send stuff in there, and it's all trackable. And the great thing for me, I had a lady that I did an event for just before Christmas. Her perception of what I did is completely different to what I do. And that's the question I find a lot. People think, well, I think that people know what you do, but they don't really. So I said to her, "Could I send you some information?" And I've sent her my digital card. I also sent her some information on the products, and she's watched all the videos, so much so that she's classed as a 50-pointer, which means she's watched hours of information. And I'm sitting down with her tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock to discuss the options. And now that's somebody that if I'd just given her what I thought was the right information, would not have done anything with the business. So for me, this is making this much, much easier. And the whole thing about 72-14-3, to come out the end of that 14 days with 2 new distributors and 3 new customers, and that's what Dan's talking about all the time. So that's just a very, very quick overview for it. It's not going to take away from anything that we're doing at all, but I think it's just a really, really clever, simple process. I mean, I was sitting with Simon today in Starbucks. So we need to get into like a process like the likes of Starbucks or like a franchise where here's a checklist. This is what you need to do going through the program. So then you've got something that everybody can do, everybody can duplicate, and it's much, much easier for sharing information. So I hope that's just given you a very brief insight. I'm happy to take any questions from anyone, and we could actually do a proper training on this and go into a lot more depth.
Vicky's got a question for you.
Vicky's got a question. Go on, Vicky.
Sorry, just a quick one. I know you're doing it next week. What's the difference between the free level and the paid for level?
£17. No,
Get for the free level, or
the
what do
free-
you not get for the free
the
level?
free one has got limited amount of stuff on there, but you can work away with it.
Okay.
But what I've said to everybody, for £17, when you register a new distributor, at the moment, they're getting that new deal. So they're saving themselves £50. You're not signing up to a contract. All I've said to people is, for that extra money that you're saving, commit to the funnel for 3 months and take it and see how it goes with it for you. But for me,
That's
it's the
what I
best.
like about it, Stephen, because people can do the paid one, which is £17 a month, but you can stop it at any time. And that's what I decided to do it for 3 months. And
Yeah.
to be honest, I haven't used it much. So, you know, if I wasn't who I am, I don't know. But I think from a little bit each week, if you just give us some ideas on how we can use it, I think it would be very useful. And I love some of the videos, Dan's video, and also the video that you shared on ProRG, which I'll put in the group actually later. I think it's absolutely excellent.
Just one other thing, and I know everybody's busy in time and stuff. I was at a networking event yesterday, and there was 6 tables. There was the great thing for me, there's one person at each table that's either a Synergy customer or a Synergy distributor. But there was 3 people come up to me at the event and said, look, I would like to find out a little bit more. So I sat down today. I had a really busy day. I've got a lot of stuff going on in my world personal wise. So time is really restrictive at the moment. But I sat down today, added 6 new people onto my app. I've sent 6 bits of information out, and I've already had 2 people have watched 2 of the videos that I've sent. Whereas before, I'd have been handing flyers out, leaflets out, and not knowing if they've actually looked at any of the information.
Yeah.
So, but I'm happy to help anyone to kind of navigate it through in a bit more detail. So I hope that's helped.
Well, also for those of you, if this is the first time you've heard about this app, then we'll put the link in again, the WhatsApp group, probably tomorrow, just so you can have a play around with it and have a look. And you can use a lot of it free of charge. And quite a few of the leaders in Synergy are creating apps, because let's face it, it is the way forward, just like Stephen explained, that to be able to digitally, you know, send things to people and see whether they've read it or not is a huge impact if you do know more. Thank you, Stephen. Thanks for that. I'll just wrap up with just to remind you of some of the things that we've mentioned. So product of the month for January is Purify. So no matter how you buy the Purify, from a retail customer to a new team member, you get 10% off the price that you would have paid. So that's really good. Every month we're going to have a product of the month. The Mentor Marathon then is going to be continued until the end of March. No startup fee for new team members, and with free shipping as well. And the big thing is, you know, Purify, £133.55. That's pretty amazing. That 10%, remember, is only till the end of January, but the Mentor and sort of marathon is until the end of March. And this is where you can earn up to €1,200, £1,026, by accumulating 20 new team members between now and the end of March. The kickoff is a week on Saturday. We'll be going, quite a few of us on the call will be going. So if you can make it, it'd be fantastic to see you. I think it's 11 till 4 at the Radisson Hotel next to Heathrow. And not that Stephen's going to be doing collagen, but I found that photograph of you, Stephen. I thought you looked quite smart there. Quite young, actually, considering you're 56, is it?
55.
But next week's training, we're going to be talking about collagen, specifically from a structural point of view, going on from our theme with regards to exercise and joint issues, structural issues. Collagen is also a fantastic product for this arena. Also, from a recruitment point of view, all those therapists and practitioners I mentioned before, collagen is also a really hot product for them. And often they don't know too much about it. This is where we have a great opportunity. So next week, we're going to be covering collagen. So that brings me to the end of our meeting, and thank you very, very much for joining us. Let me just have a quick look at all of you, because I know some of you came in while we were speaking. So thank you very much. How many were we? I can't really see you down there. Can anyone tell me?
25.
25, that's fantastic on a Wednesday evening. So thank you very much. Thanks, Angie and Stephen, for co-hosting. Thanks, Paul, for your fantastic testimony. I know you're going to be talking at the kickoff week on Saturdays. That'll be great to hear. And I hope you have a brilliant week, because we've started now. 2023 has really started. From a Synergy point of view, we're really already really moving, which is fantastic, isn't it? I think everybody feels uplifted when things start to move and things start to happen. So fantastic. Were there any questions that we need to cover, Angie? No, brilliant.
We're all sorted.
Yeah, look out on the WhatsApp for tomorrow for some things that we've mentioned this evening. So thank you everybody for joining us. See you next week.
Thank you,
Bye.
Terry.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Take care, everyone. Good